Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Let's do local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Week 7, dude. Week 7 of the high school football season. I know we had Dr. Crow on a little bit earlier. He's got the banquet tonight, but he's leaving it early because we've got a big Regis and Mondovi game at Carson Park tonight. As he noted, that could be for a 1 seed for the playoffs coming up.
And
here
keep in mind, that is something that we can track now.
Yeah.
Because of, and I'm going to try to bring it up here quickly right now because we know it's there, but because with football, the last few weeks, WI's put out their, I'm trying to think of the exact name for it, but the qualifying report, which basically one of the new things this year with how they're doing things is you're going to be able to chart the progress for teams as the season goes on for football. I think it was started a couple weeks ago, and the preliminary qualifying report is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And it's on the WI's website. And because this year the WI has gone to, I mean, it's referred to as a playoff matrix, but it's an offshoot of the way that they do it in Ohio. And it puts in a couple factors. And actually, this is a story I'm working on for next week, but we can kind of pull back the curtain now, is, teams are ranked. And it's different this year because teams are designated in their division before the season. Mm-hmm. At the end, in the past, the WI would come up with its 224 411-player qualifiers, and then they would cut them off. The first 32 Division I, the second 32 Division II, etc. And kind of going off that, in Division 6 right now, Regis is ranked 3rd in the state. You get Edgar and Darlington 1, 2, and Mondovi's 8. So what that would mean is the playoffs start right now, and of course they don't. The top four seeds would all be 1 seeds in their region.
Okay.
And they would divvy them up. They're going to try to divvy these up the best they can by location.
Okay.
Because there's like a northwest, a northeast, a southwest, a southeast. Gotcha. I think it's called A, B, C, and D, but that's what it is.
Okay.
So, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. So Mondovi currently being an 8, they would be a 2 seed. Mm-hmm. But you're right. Like, whichever one of those 2 teams wins is gonna, with a couple weeks left, is going to have a leg up. And the formula, basically, you have 2 tiers of scoring. You get Tier 1 points, you get Tier 2 points. Tier 1 points are basically the points you get for your wins. And the way it's divided up, too, is Division 1 through 7, and then A Player 2, but it's different there. You're given a certain amount of points for the teams you beat based on their size. So Division 1 teams are all worth 6.5 points. Example, if Chippewa Falls beats DC Everest tonight, they'll get 6.5 points for that.
Okay. Division
2 is 6. Division 3 is 5.5, and it just goes down in half-point increments. So you are rewarded if you beat the larger schools. Mm-hmm. And then Tier 2, it comes down to like the teams. It's almost a bit like a strength of schedule thing, where it's like you get the points for the teams that you beat, who they beat. So the way I had this explained to me was this: you want to beat good teams, and then you want those other good teams to win. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of it's a bit of a built-in strength of schedule thing, and that gives you 2 numbers that you add up, and you get your qualifying score. So I mean, it's kind of confusing, but it's one of those things I think that'll make sense more as we go. Mm-hmm. But yeah, long story short, Regis and Mondovi right now, according to these rankings, are 2 of the top 8 teams in the state in Division 6, which I think is pretty fair. I mean, Regis and Mondovi has kind of become one of those games every year where you kind of have it circled on the calendar. I mean, those are 2 strong, smart, physical, tough-minded teams. I mean, that's going to be a fun slugfest at Carson Park. I will not be there, but if I had, let's put it this way, if I had my choice of a game I'd be going to, that would probably be it.
Nice.
That's going to be a fun one.
Absolutely. Well, where are you going to be? What are some of the other games on the docket?
I am going to be in Cadott tonight. Cadott takes on Chautauqua Weyerhaeuser.
Okay.
A big game for Cadott. We talk about the postseason. We talk about, those rankings. Right now Cadott is 4-2, but they are ranked 32nd. So right now they would be the last team in Division 4 or Division 6. They're a team that right now is has some wins, but is looking to enhance its resume. Mm-hmm. And Chautauqua Weyerhaeuser in Division 6 is ranked 12th.
Ooh.
So, and they're coming off a loss to Grantsburg, a loss where they played pretty competitively against Grantsburg, who is, the defending Division 6 state runner-up. They're the number 1 ranked team in Division 5 right now, according to the playoff qualifying report. So they'd be a 1 seed in D5 right now. So this is I'm interested to see how this goes. Otherwise, kind of looking around, we can start with the Big Rivers, but obviously coming off last week, another pretty competitive effort for a lot of teams in that conference. But I think if you're looking in this conference and I'm trying to get the schedule up just so I make sure I have it in front of me. That's why I'm kind of stalling for time here a little bit. But
hey, don't worry, because you know what? Next week when we're in the new studio, I think you have your own computer over there. You're going to be able to. Yeah.
Wow.
You don't have to use your phone.
You're going to give.
Loan.
Wow. Well, I'm still on my phone. But,
yeah, we're getting fancy, boy.
And that's next week, you say? I'm going to put you on the spot for that.
Don't.
But yeah, look, I mean, next week, I think, tonight, I think the 2 big games you're looking at the Big Rivers. First of all, you got River Falls at Rice Lake. Rice Lake still unbeaten in the conference. River Falls picked up a big win last week over Hudson. So
yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, that was a big win, wasn't it?
That is. And I mean, I saw that River Falls team a few weeks ago, and they played Chippewa. Like, you can see why they're successful. Because they are a big, strong, fast team. And they're a team that can put up a lot of points. Like, that would be an interesting one to be at, too. I mean, Rice Lake 6-0, River Falls 5-1, because River Falls, they can run the ball, they can throw the ball. Like, they're just a team that scores a lot. They're comfortable being in shootouts. And I think Rice Lake kind of is, too, but they go about it different ways. So that makes that a very interesting matchup. And plus, that's a big one for Division II when it's going to come to seeding here in a couple weeks. Other one, New Richmond, Menominee. New Richmond's a couple losses here recently, but those are kind of both 2 teams. I mean, that's going to be a good win for whoever gets that. Otherwise, you got Superior making the trip to Hudson. Hudson looking to bounce back from that loss to River Falls. You got Chippewa Falls going to DC Everest. That's their crossover matchup. DC Everest leading the Wisconsin Valley. Chippewa Falls picked up its first Big Rivers win last week, going up to Superior and getting an impressive win there. So, that's a pretty fun slate. I mean, we always say in the Big Rivers, it seems like every week there's 1 or 2 matchups. But and then tonight, Eau Claire Memorial taking on Wisconsin Rapids. I mean, that's a good chance for Memorial to maybe go out there and get a win here. But coming off of what was last week for them, which was a competitive effort. But
right. And
then Eau Claire North making the trip to Spash to take on Stevens Point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, kind of looking around a little bit too. We mentioned the Cloverville, obviously, that Regis Mondovi won. Fall Creek Elk Mound's going to be an interesting one for postseason seeding. Both those teams are, kind of in the hunt. Fall Creek, I thought it was pretty competitive against Regis last week. I mean, that's a team that's, I think, on pretty decent ground when it comes to the postseason. So, we'll see about that. Last week we had the great game in the Dairyland with Cochrane Fountain City and Pepin Alma. Game that went right down to the end. Now both those teams are kind of looking to keep stacking wins.
Right.
As we're 2 weeks away from the playoffs for 11-player, 8-player. Next week is the last week of the regular season. So
yeah,
not a lot of time left to, enhance those resumes.
Exactly. So a lot of good football coming up here. I mean, golf golf and tennis. I've been seeing some. Yeah,
golf. I mean, first we can start with golf because we had regionals here these last few days.
Yep.
So we can go back to yesterday where we had the Division I regional out at Lake Wissota. And you.
I was looking at something over here. So
oh, okay. Yeah. Like, what are you looking at? But yeah, you had River Falls winning that region. River Falls joined by Prescott, Chippewa Falls, and Hudson as teams advancing to sectionals. Some really good efforts there. Prescott moving up to D1 this year. They've been very, very successful in Division II, and obviously showing they were two strokes off River Falls for the top spot. Obviously showing they can hang with pretty much any team in the state here. So Division II was earlier in the week. That was Wednesday. A lot of the teams from around here were up in Barron. For that Division II regional, Colfax Elk Mountain continuing their great season. They took the regional championship there. I mean, they're going to be a team that rolls into that Spooner on Monday, or that sectional in Spooner on Monday. With a lot of momentum. I mean, that's a veteran team right now with obviously some younger kids that help, but led by the Kongshogs, Bella and Claire. So that's a team looking to kind of break through the state tournament. Bella is no stranger to the state tournament, state champion a couple times, but now looking for the team to go, and it kind of feels like this might be their time.
Right.
But otherwise, you got Bloomer and Stanley Boyd that made their way through there. There's some golfers there that might be a threat to maybe grab an individual spot. Going down to state too.
Yeah.
I'll say tennis. We had the Big Rivers and the
we had some conference championships.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
Eau Claire Memorial picking up the conference championship here this week. Subsectionals and sectionals are the early part of next week. So by this time next week, we'll have a pretty good idea on who's going to state for girls tennis.
Soccer's going on. Volleyball's going on.
Eau Claire Memorial picking up a 5-1 win last night over Chippewa Falls. I mean, they're them and Hudson. They're kind of keeping pace at the top of the Big Rivers there. So
yep.
Volleyball, we're kind of getting down to it. I think next week is the last week of the regular season for the Western Clover Belt. A bit of a moving day last night in the West as far as that goes, with McDonald staying unbeaten in conference play, picked up a straight set win over Cadott, and then Stanley Boyd picking up the big win over Regis. So McDonald now owns a 1-game lead in the conference standings over both Regis and Stanley Boyd. McDonald and Regis play next Thursday, so assuming teams make it through Tuesday unscathed, that could be one where Regis could be playing for a share of the conference title, and I'm sure Stanley Boyd would be cheering for Regis because that could possibly be a 3-way tie situation if Regis were to beat McDonald and Stanley Boyd kept winning. Otherwise, McDonald has a chance, if they were to win next Tuesday as well, to make that matchup on Thursday a possible non-share situation if they were to win that. So on the Big Rivers, Hudson, River Falls, they've been kind of the class of the field in the Big Rivers. Not surprising. That's the case many times, but they've been the teams at the top of the standings. Last night, Chippewa Falls, getting their second Big Rivers win. That's where I was last night, picking up the win in straight sets over Eau Claire North. River Falls actually last night picking up the win over Hudson. So River Falls in a familiar perch, up at the top of the Big Rivers. Rice Lake defeated Eau Claire Memorial last night. So right now, as we kind of get down to the end of it there, River Falls owns a 1-game lead over Hudson and Rice Lake at the top. Getting teams like New Richmond and Chippewa kind of, hanging out there not too far behind.
Yeah. So that's the high school. College-wise, of course, it's the big homecoming game for the Blue Golds, 100 years, 100th anniversary. Blue Gold football undefeated. They open up Wyack play for their homecoming game against the War on 94.
Yeah.
Their opponent, Stout, who is coming in 2-1, should be a fantastic game. Kickoff is going to be at 1 p.m. tomorrow at Carson Park. That's your local sports roundup, brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center.